now come to the fourth and final level of Chotchky, the level of the soul, the essence of our being. And I'm sure you're beginning to at least feel how all the levels of Chotchky are connected. The physical things certainly affect our mental state of being. And our mental state of being, that Chotchky effect certainly affects our physical health. And physical Chotchkys, food Chotchky we put in our body affects our mental state of being, and around it goes, and it all affects, of course, the essence, the soul of our being. And there also is direct Chotchky of the soul. We'll get to that in a minute. Now, I understand that this idea of soul is a very ethereal idea. As we continue, just be aware of how connected everything is, and we'll get to the soul of the matter. In the late 13th century, a great master teacher in the mountains of Nepal knew that the time had come for a new student. And so he sent out a decree to all the villages that a new student was required to carry on his teachings. And many of the villagers came because they knew of his powerful reputation as a teacher. And so they came to the master teacher, but only one of them seemed to have the promise that he was looking for. His name was Fu. And so soon they began their work. The master teacher began teaching Fu the ways of the world and the mysteries of the universe. And he caught on fast. And within just a few months, the master teacher felt Fu was ready for his first big challenge, his first big test in becoming a master. And that was to let go, to relinquish all things of the world. The only thing he was allowed to keep was his robe and sandals. And so Fu did. Happily, he let go of everything but his robe and sandals, and he went into the cave to meditate while his master teacher went on a spiritual quest. And there he was to stay, in the cave meditating, with nothing but his robe and sandals. And so Fu began his work, and he was quite content. He was happy. He had never been so blissed out in his life, just meditating every day in his cave at peace, with nothing but his robe and sandals. And then one day, some of the young men from the village came up to see how he was doing, and they peeked in at the cave and saw him sitting on this rock. It was kind of pointy. And they pointed this out and said to Fu, "You know, I'm not one to intrude or anything. You seem pretty happy and all, but we think you might be happier with a loincloth, because if you had a loincloth to put on that rock, it might be a little more comfortable to sit on." Well, Fu thought about this. In fact, it became his only meditation. For weeks, he sat on that rock and he thought about what they had said, and that pointy rock felt just a little more pointy as he considered it. Maybe this rock is kind of pointy. I don't know. I guess it is. And maybe it would be more comfortable if I just had a little loincloth to sit on. And so, after weeks and weeks of meditating on this very idea, he figured, it's just a loincloth. It's hardly anything. It surely can't be breaking the spirit of the agreement with my master. And so he went down to the village one day. He didn't have any money, but the cloth maker liked the villager, so she was willing to give him an IOU. And he hiked back up, sat down on the loincloth on the rock, and began meditating, and he thought, wow, it's true. This is more comfortable. I guess it is. I don't know. I thought I was blissed out, but maybe I wasn't blissed out because I didn't have a loincloth, and it wasn't, I don't think it was this comfortable. This is really nice. Now, the only drawback was he had to go down to the river every once in a while to wash the loincloth because it got dirty, which took away from his meditating a little bit, but not much. Seemed like a fair exchange. He would wash the loincloth and hang it up to dry, but then one day he hung it up to dry on a branch, and while it was drying, some mice came along and began chewing on his loincloth, chewing holes in his loincloth. So So he chased away the mice, and he thought, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I'll be stressed out sitting here if I think and wash and put it up there in the mice. I know I'll get a cat. I'll get a cat to chase away the mice. So he got a cat, and sure enough, when he hung up that loincloth, the mice came, but the cat chased them away. But since the mice always got away, the cat never got anything to eat. So the cat was getting kind of scrawny. And so he had to feed the cat somehow, so, well, he got a cow. He got a cow that he could milk to feed the cat the milk, so the cat had the energy to chase away the mice so that he could have a loincloth to sit on that didn't have any holes in it. And this system seemed to work out pretty well, although it took a little more time, because now he had to milk the cow to feed the cat to chase away the mice, but then the cow started to get really scrawny because they ate all the grass. So now he had to plant some seeds to grow more grass to feed the cow, to milk, to give the cat, so the cat could chase away the mice and could have the loincloth. But now when he put out the seeds for the cow, man, those seeds, I mean, they took root. All of a sudden he had a field of grass. He was taking over everything. Now he had to hire the village people, the people from the village, to come and harvest the grass so he could feed the cow, milk the cow, feed the cat, give the cat nourishment to chase away the mice so he could have a loincloth to meditate on. And the village people seemed to enjoy their work as they sang and danced as they harvested the grass. And now he had a full-on enterprise. It was a business. He had to build a break room, and the village people went on strike, and the cave he was sitting in didn't seem good enough, anymore, because he had to deal with the business, so he built a house, and he had an office and paperwork to do, and it was a whole full grass business, and all of a sudden he only had a few moments a day to meditate. Now he's so stressed because of the cow and the enterprise. But then the next year there was a drought, and all the grass dried up, and the cow died. And he had to fire all the villagers that he had hired. In fact, he had nothing. He was flat broke. He had to pay back the cloth maker for the loincloth with his robe and sandals. So now he became known in the village as the naked beggar. And then one day the master teacher came home. He didn't even recognize his student. He didn't know it was him when he came to the master begging. But he noticed something in his eyes and he thought, my God, is it you? It is you. What happened? What happened? And the naked beggar said to the master, I got a loincloth. To which the master replied, "Oh, you fool." So, what might be the loincloths in your life? Everything we bring into our life comes with an entire enterprise, so we must choose carefully, lest we become the naked beggar. As it says in the Tao Te Ching, at first it is something. After we possess it, it isn't. It's so true, it kind of hurts. All right, to avoid playing the fool, I bring to you the art of the Precycle. Imagine that you're shopping, and all of a sudden you see that thing, whatever that thing is, your loincloth at the time, that you think, this could complete it, this would make me happy if I could just have this thing. Approach it. Look at it. Take it in your hand if you can. And allow the feeling to come over you. There is a moment where we actually feel a little more happy, a little more worthy, whole, even more complete, as we are, more acceptable. Let that feeling rise in you. Allow it to overcome you. And then, once you have that feeling in your heart and in your mind, put the thing down and get the heck out of there. call shoplifting for the soul. What we do is we take the Chotchky campaign, we turn it inside out and upside down and use it to assist us in our awakening, to bring us back, actually, in touch with our soul. You see, what's happening is actually quite profound. I mean, how can we be feeling this sense of joy and happiness and completeness from this thing when we haven't even bought it yet, we haven't purchased it, we haven't taken it out of its packaging? Well, the answer is quite obvious. It was never the thing that we desired. It's the feeling that we've been taught it would bring us. The challenge here is not unlike that of a rat who gets a treat, cheese, after finishing a task, a maze. We've been taught that acquisition is the task. And when we acquire, when we're good consumers, we get a treat, a happy feeling. That's our cheese. Like any treat, however, the feeling is fleeting. So we must be about the task again, like a good rat, through the maze of halls and malls, and through the things we acquire, as seen through the Chotchky paradigm, are triggers of worthiness. I just finished a task, acquired something, therefore I get a treat, a cheesy feeling. And guess what? That cheesy feeling, it's actually been studied scientifically. It's been proven. We're so indoctrinated into being consumers that we have trained ourselves to release endorphins into our system when we buy stuff, when we consume. It actually creates a feeling of well-being. Endorphins released into our system. Here's the thing, you're not a rat. You are not only the receiver of the treat, the happy feeling, you're the creator of it. You're the giver of it. That's how powerful you are. And you are worthy of that feeling, that happiness right here, right now, as you are. Chotchky free, no Chotchky required. In this way, we begin to outsmart this very troublesome vein of projection Chotchky, the act of projecting emotional well-being onto something outside of us. It's just not going to happen. That's why the feeling dissipates so quickly after acquiring something. You see, the thing has no emotions whatsoever to give us. Here I am at the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang Castle. Truly one of the most metaphysical, spiritual movies ever made. This is the place where Benny Hill hid the children in the city of no children, in his toy-making shop. Then the kidnapper came out in a disguised horse-drawn carriage to capture the children and make them into slave labor. As the kids hid out in the toy maker's basement, the kidnapper pulled up and began yelling, "Kitties, kitties, free candy just for you, just today. Lollipops, cream puffs, all free just for you, and it's all inside. It's all inside." And so the kids fell for the traps. They went into and were trapped by the kidnapper's disguised horse-drawn carriage. When the deeper truth of the words, because in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, they knew what they were talking about. The deeper truth of the words was all that candy, all that they wanted, was all inside, right where they were. But instead they were fooled and trapped by the Chotchky world. For the candy, for the goodies, for the lollipops and the cream puffs. But it didn't make them happy, it sent them to the prison, like it does for all of us. You are the castle, and you are every outlet mall, every garage sale, every flea market, every car dealership, and yes, even every Nordstrom's. Because you see, that feeling is always with you, inside of you, which is what we were actually shopping for in the first place. We are taught that the feeling of happiness and wholeness and completeness comes through the stuff. We get it by getting the stuff, then we get the feeling. But now we can bypass the stuff and go directly to that which we're actually looking for, which is that happiness, that sense of well-being. We carry it with us everywhere we go. It's always in stock, in your color, in your size, in your style, in you. Now, I don't expect any of us to instantaneously make the shift to our true nature. It will happen with increments over time for most of us, but just the awareness that you're not a rat and the whole point isn't to acquire but to live passionately, unafraid, to live our passion, love our people, live the planet is enough to begin the process of the soulful journey of living from the inside out instead of from the outside in. And that is no piece of cheese. This precycling thing may be the most ecologically sound, psychologically transforming practice ever introduced to our slowly awakening world. Check this out. When we precycle, we actually reach into the future, leaving the materials in the greatest storage space there is, Mother Earth, for a wiser generation. Everything is connected. There are no exceptions. Every atom in your body has literally been traced back to the beginnings of time and space. This is no New Age mumbo-jumbo. This is purely scientific. We are one. And when we bring things a little closer to home, the connection becomes more and more obvious. Through the process of evolution, we are the rocks and the water come to living, breathing consciousness. Remembering this brings a holiness and a humility to our time in this form on Earth, as we endeavor to create a sustainable existence and to experience more meaning in our lives. There's nothing more powerful than seeing everything we purchase as a sacred exchange. This is done by imagining a string attached to everything we purchase. This string goes down into the floor of the store, into the earth, and pulls from the mother the materials needed for the product we are buying. That string is doing one of three things, usually a combination thereof, no exceptions. It is either pulling on the earth to create a new whole, uprooting and pulling up plant life, or pulling from the very life force of an animal. This is not wrong. It is the way of things. It is a sacred exchange. Therefore, it should only be done when the exchange is in some way empowering us in the creation of our masterpiece of living a soulful life. Then the life force that we have taken is not wasted. In fact, it lives on through us as a holy expression of life itself. However, if you come to realize that the exchange does not support your highest good and the good of all, by simply placing it back on the shelf, you have pushed that string back into the earth and left all those precious materials for a wiser generation to come. So, begin practicing the art of the precycle today. You don't need any special containers, and there's no hassle separating this from that. All you get is the joy. Check it out. What do you think? Is it me? Is it me? I think it is. And I just got it. I just got it. Now I can go.